There's absolutely no excuse not to debate this, and no excuse not to vote on sufficient amount of amendments to try to make this better, to try to make the bulk collection of records go away. It's what the American people want. It's what the Constitution demands. My voice is rapidly leaving. My bedtime is long since passed. And I think it's time that we summarize why we're here today and what my hope is for the future with this issue. We've had a dozen senators come down from both parties, from right and left, conservative, liberal, progressive, libertarian. We've had several friends come over from the House as well. There's a hunger in America for somebody to stand up, for all of us to stand up, for somebody to do the right thing, to say that the Bill of Rights needs to be defended, that the Bill of Rights is important. When I think of the Bill of Rights, I think, it isn't so much for the popular person. It isn't so much for the high school quarterback or the prom queen. The Bill of Rights is for the least among us. And the Bill of Rights is to try to prevent any kind of systemic bias from entering into the law or the way we treat people. People will say, well, we collect all this data, but we're not abusing anyone. We're doing it perfectly in order. But I agree with Senator Lee that just the collection of the data is the infringement in itself. The whole idea that we could put one name on a warrant and collect 100 million records goes against everything we believe in. It goes against everything we fought for in the Revolution when we fought to be left alone. I think Justice Brandeis put it best when he said that the right to be left alone is the most cherished of rights, the most prized among civilized men. To be left alone. To be left alone in our castle, or in today's world, to be left alone in our cloud. The time is long since passed where we're going to have paper records and that it's going to be our exact home, our exact castle that we're protecting. The time is now in the digital age that we need to protect our privacy when we loan out our records. And it is different to loan out your records and let them to be held by a telephone company or by an internet provider or in the cloud. It doesn't mean that you give up your right to privacy. I think that you have an expectation of privacy with or without a contract, but often we have an explicit privacy agreement, an explicit privacy contract that we actually have with the phone company, that we actually have with the internet provider. They're supposed to protect our interests. It sends exactly the wrong signal to give liability to these companies, liability protection to these companies, and say to them that they can run roughshod with us and that they can give their information out. The bulk collection must end, and I think we have the votes to do it now. We need to end the bulk collection of records, but that's not where this battle ends. There still is a question of whether or not the executive is gathering a great deal of information through executive order. I think that has to be reviewed. It has to be reviewed in public. I agree with my friend Senator Wyden that the specifics of intelligence, who the agents are, how we break code, how we technologically gather information, by all means doesn't need to be discussed in public. But whether or not we should collect all Americans' phone records all the time should be discussed in public. It should have been revealed in an honest way. The fact that the director of our national intelligence lied to us and said the program didn't even exist, I think is unforgivable and makes him unsuitable to lead our intelligence agency. We have to have trust. Because of this great and enormous power we allow our intelligence agencies to have, we have to have trust. And you can't have trust when Congress is lied to. I think as we move forward, today we've made great strides in presenting arguments in the debate for how we would make things better, how we would better circumscribe this great and ominous power, and how we would better make this power conducive to the Constitution. The ultimate success will be that we can actually change things, but part of the success will be that we've debated them today, and my hope is that the debate today will let the American public, as well as our leadership in the Senate, know that we're serious about this, that we want to vote on reforms, that we want to vote on several different forms of ways that we can fix this, and that this goes on and comes up every 3 years. For goodness sakes, can't we spend a couple of days trying to amend this, trying to make it better? I want to thank the Senate staff for coming in and staying. I don't think you had much choice, but thank you for staying and not throwing things. We'll try not to do this, but every couple of years or so. I want to thank my staff for their help in a long day. And I want to thank the American people for considering the arguments and hopefully for helping us push this towards a reform where we all respect the Fourth Amendment and the Bill of Rights once again. Thank you, Mr. President, and I relinquish the floor.